Nantucket School Committee meeting of Monday, September 22nd, the first day of fall. You have an approval before you. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I think I said approval, but I meant to say agenda. This meeting is being audio and video recorded, and we will start with public comment. And there is none, so then we will move on to the superintendent's update. Beth?
Not new topics, but new information to share. So e-bikes. As I mentioned at our last meeting on September 2nd, we have seen a sharp increase in our e-bike usage across campus, as well as, unfortunately, inappropriate and dangerous operation of said e-bikes, including young people popping wheelies or riding to a bike in our parking lots, our fields, and on our sidewalks. We have had at least 3 accidents involving e-bikes where students have been sent to the hospital for care. Our student handbooks each have a section on e-bikes I reviewed carefully, and the expectations around registration, rules and expectations, and safe operation, yet we still do not have the ability to enforce these rules with so many students who are currently using e-bikes. As an important reminder to students and parents and guardians, e-bikes must be walked on school grounds. This includes sidewalks, parking lots, athletic fields, and playground areas. Riding bikes in these areas is strictly prohibited. Another important reminder is that e-bikes must be parked more than 10 feet away from any school building. The Director of Facilities and Grounds and I have surveyed a better location farther away from our middle and high school buildings to move our e-bike parking. After we've spoken to middle and high school admin, as well as the Nantucket Police Department, to ensure that this location is feasible, we hope that this change can go into effect as early as next week. I also need to remind parents and guardians of students with e-bikes that they must be registered with their school's front office. Students and parents have to sign a contract and will be asked to go through a safety course every year. At our last meeting, we also discussed electric dirt bikes with speeds of up to 40 miles per hour and without pedals. Since these bikes are in the same class as mopeds and motorcycles, students with these vehicles must have a license to drive them and they must register them as vehicles, not e-bikes. It is important that this protocol be followed for the safety of students riding the bikes, as well as for pedestrians and drivers on our campus. So we appreciate your support in making sure that these procedures are followed to the T. I do hope that that moving our parking for middle and high school will at least provide less worry about coming around where there are a lot of pedestrians. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit, there are still pedestrians in the area where they'll be parked, but at least they won't be so close to the buildings. So that will be good. I'm happy to take questions before the next topic if you have any.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should probably use this. What recourse is there if students don't adhere to the new e-bike rules?
They lose privileges. That's one of the first things. The challenge we have is not all of us know the students' names. Some of us do, but not all of us do. And often they are on their bike and gone before we can say, hey, wait. So that's a challenge. We know that Nantucket Police Department has its own set of rules and regulations, but there isn't anything yet legally that they can follow to help us enforce, which is really frustrating as a school district. And I'm just fearful that there will be more and more accidents, and that we continue to hear every day or to see in the Nantucket Current that there are more accidents happening. I fear for the safety of our kids. So
I hear you, and if the chair will allow, I even have a bit of a shocking horror story that I saw when couldn't even say if he was a student for certain, whizzed the wrong way down a lane of traffic as we were trying to get into the elementary school one morning, and he must have been going 40 plus, but he was going so fast I couldn't even tell if he was a high school student, and it was exceedingly dangerous because he was going he was in the wrong lane at speed.
if I may through the chair, we just don't have the adult capacity for supervision when, at the beginning of and the end of the day, we've got adults that are working to allow for yonder pouches to be unlocked. We have teachers that are meeting with students at the time. We've got to figure out a solution. So that's my big dilemma that I'm going to be working on with middle and high school staff and district staff, because I'm not sure how to continue with this. So
Chantal?
nothing. Thank you. Okay, bus update. About 10 days ago, I rode the Old South Route bus 2 mornings in a row to get a feel for what our students were experiencing on this route. And as it is the longest route with the most mileage of all other routes, took about an hour and 15 minutes from beginning to end.
Yeesh.
I was pleased to see how well behaved the students were on that bus, but also how many students were in need of bus transportation to school. It was packed. That bus was packed. And the first day was lighter than the second day. So the first day, the capacity for a bus is 71 students. The first day I counted 61, and the second day I counted 71. So, there could easily be even more students who are scheduled for that bus because, and they just were absent that day or not picked up. At that point, we were beginning to implement our colored bus tag system, so I wanted to understand what the challenges would be for our drivers and the passengers, and how they were dealing with the bus tags. Since my morning ride, we have been able to work closely with Cape Cod Collaborative to hire back our 5th bus driver.
Nice.
So we hope all of this will begin on Monday, September 29th. We now have 4 large bus drivers and 1 small bus driver, which will allow us to create a new route created by taking some stops away from other routes. And this should allow us to transport more students in less time. I want to give a shout out to Morgan Gray. She's the Cape Cod Collaborative Nantucket liaison and also one of our bus drivers. She's been finalizing the details of this new route, and we expect to have everything in place in a week. Of course, this does mean we need to add a new color to our current colored bus tags, and most likely we'll need to reissue tags to students whose stops have now been reallocated to the new route. I'll work with Morgan to make sure in the coming days that all the routes are worked out very clearly and that they are shared with parents, students, and the community so that there are no questions about pickup and drop-off times. Of course, it will probably there'll be kinks, and we'll be working on that in the next week or two. And so we just ask everyone to be a little patient. Please come to the bus stop at least 10 minutes ahead of time, just to be sure, because there will be some changes. So that is my great news for that. And I only had one other thing to add, and this was congratulations to Dr. Lepre, who is not here, in his debut performance on 60 Minutes. For his dossier on genetically modified field mice. And we thank him for all the work that he has done. So many of our students have been affected by Lyme disease, and the work that he's done and the support that this new project is getting from the select board is really great and very encouraging. So I'm sorry he's not here to do my congratulations. And that's it. I'm sure Danielle will have a lot more to tell us about what's going on.
Yes. Any other questions? I just have one question, Beth, about the color-coded. How does that work? It's not a wristband.
No.
What is it?
It's like a keychain tag.
Okay.
So we ask students to put them on their backpacks or to have them on their person. So whether it's in their pockets or on a wristband or whether it's on their keychain. The monitors and drivers will be checking as they come onto the bus.
Okay.
So.
And what happens if they don't have one?
So this week was kind of that experiment, like what would happen if they didn't have one. First of all, they need to go to the front office to ask for one, and the front office can look up as to whether the parents have actually registered them, because a lot of parents still haven't registered their children, in which case then we need to say, parents, you need to register your child. We need to make sure that they're on the right bus. Some children are taking a bus that they know gets them closer to a place they want to be or need to be, as this was kind of the practice many years ago. We don't have the luxury of that style of pickup and drop-off that we did in the past when there were 6 bus drivers and half as many students.
Right.
So we do need to stick with the colored bus tags. If someone is trying to get on a bus with the wrong bus tag, then we will tell them you need to be on the appropriate bus. I feel for the students who are on the early and late runs because that means they have to get up much earlier and have to leave school later. But I'm hoping with this fourth bus route for the big buses, that will allow them at least not to have to get up extra early.
Right.
There'll still be a need to do kind of a shuttle service, especially down to Old South Road, because that is where the majority of our students are coming from. So, and we know that also it's still warm and okay for walking and riding bikes. And so what happens when it starts to rain or when we have colder weather? So we're going to have to think about what will happen at that time too.
Right.
But in the meantime, this is a thankful salute. I'm grateful for having a fifth person. So
Yeah.
let's just hope we continue to have more people who are interested in coming on as bus drivers. Even 7D vehicles, which are the smaller vehicles, we haven't yet had a driver that's ready and willing to be able to do that. So.
Thank you. And then we'll move on to presentations, and discussions of issues to the committee. And we'll start with Chip for the athletic complex renovations update.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you look up to or you look on your sheets there, I think one of the best pictures we have is our the Google shot of the stadium right now. We don't have a track. We're certainly behind on a lot of things and we need upgrades. So I'm here tonight to present you the upgrade plan. We're looking for an asphalt track with natural grass infield for football, soccer, and lacrosse. We have roughly 80 students in the spring who are looking to do track, and we think with the new track, those numbers will even grow. Included are also new bleachers, ADA compliant press box, and bleachers for the visiting team. There'll be a new and improved team building here on the site with training rooms, bathrooms, and storage underneath. Storage is always an issue for us, for especially if we're going to have track and we have all that stuff, that equipment to move around. An updated booster shack with a kitchen and a room for Whalers merchandise. Attached to the boosters building will be ADA compliant bathrooms, so we'll have real bathrooms out there.
Nice.
Part of the project too is new and updated lighting. This would mean taller poles, 70-foot poles with lights that shine directly down, so that would keep us in compliance with the dark sky group. Certainly one of the issues that we're facing now is ADA compliance. We've met with the ADA officer, Brenda McDonough, and Mickey Rowland, and they were both involved in these plans, and they had a lot of input, and so those are all taken care of with these plans, with these plans.
That's great.
We're currently working with an estimating company. At this point, we haven't received a true breakdown of the costs, and that being said, we are thinking between $15 and $18 million. Tonight, we're looking for the school committee to vote on it, so we can start the process. Depending on your approval, we'll address it to the finance committee, and hopefully we'll be on the ballot this spring and let the people vote for it. Any questions?
Any questions?
So, just to clarify, the vote you're looking for tonight, is that to move on to design, or is it that to move on to the estimations?
We have the estimations coming.
Okay.
It's more to push it forward to the other committees to put it on the ballot. Because we want to, ideally, this is going to go to a ballot question, so the public, the community can vote on whether they want it or not.
All right. One more, if that's
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
So, before anyone gets too frightened, I quite like this. I've had to do far more research than I anticipated for this. I've had a lot of people asking questions of me. I've looked back at previous school committee votes. I had to go back quite a distance for those, but I found them. And I have looked at, I've been getting questions about turf, I've been getting questions about distance, that the spectators are back from the field. I've had a good look at all of this, and then I had to come to terms with my own mind. I'm still fine with all of this. I appreciate change is difficult, and people want to have multi-use surfaces, but looking at it all in context, grass still makes sense. I don't have an issue with that. We need to have a facility that is more capable for track and field. That makes sense, and I agree with that. I'm going to get pushback from the people who've been shouting at me, but so be it. I like this.
Thank you. Chantal?
I'm just thrilled to not have to use the porta potties. Appreciate that.
I should have started with that.
I just have one question, Chip. So this is not, doesn't impact sort of going forward, but once the track is done, will community members be able to use the track?
Our hope is, yes. I think one of the issues that we always have is taking care of things and vandalism, and we worry about that. But I think with the new infrastructure, we'll have added security cameras, we'll have a lot of security built into the project itself. So I would hopefully that the public would definitely be able to use it.
I think that would be nice. Danielle?
I mean, I think all of us are just happy we don't have to use the porta potties.
If I may.
Yes, yes.
So if I may, Chip, can you just speak one moment to the type of track that we will be putting in? Because I don't know if that was clear in your
Right, this is an
presentation.
asphalt track,
Thank
so
you.
same as the roads outside, it's not synthetic.
Right. Yeah.
So I think, in channeling Dr. Lepre, who's not here, and I'm sure he would ask, this is a PFAS-free project,
Yes, as much as we can
as
make
much
it.
as we
I
can,
don't think-
clearly. But with regard to our,
Absolutely.
our grass field
Yes.
and our track, we will be going with natural grass and with,
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
And the irrigation, beg your pardon, through the chair
No,
for me.
no, it's
And
Yeah.
the irrigation for the site is all from on-site wells, it's not from town water.
Absolutely, yeah. We're on-site wells, and that'll all be redone too, and the drainage system in the new field will be better. So we're hoping that growing grass will be easier for us there. But we're still running into the problems of field space and usage.
Yep.
And it's just something that's ongoing for us.
And for the health of our harbour, I hate to say this out loud, to be compliant with town's fertilizer regulations.
Yep.
There we go, I'm done.
I do have one more question, Chip. I'm sorry. So how will this impact our current teams when we begin this process?
It's going to be, I'm sure Travis has thought about it. It's going to be tough. This is going to take away one field. We have a plan to put football over on Bacchus.
Okay.
But the truth is, right now, the girls' soccer team is going out to the Delta fields. I think that's something that we're going to have to really look into, especially while it's going on, while the work is being done. But it is going to be tricky, and it's not going to be an easy project. It's going to be difficult on everyone, including during the day, the wellness classes, which is something we hadn't really thought about. But those fields are used throughout the school day with the gym classes outside.
Right.
So that's another thing that we have to keep in mind.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
In an ideal world, what does the timeline from start to finish look like?
2 years.
Okay.
Before you can actually be on the grass. We are planning to sod the field, but even with the sodding, you still have to let it take root.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it is going to be an invasive process as far as our day-to-day routines. But, the long run, we'll have a beautiful stadium with a track, and it'll be
Right.
great.
if I may, we're at a point where we don't really have a choice. We have got to move forward with this
Yeah.
project. The field condition that we currently have is acceptable, but not nearly what we would really want it to be for the safety of our players and for the needs of our student athletes. So my hope is that we can move quickly with this as much as possible and then get started on the work, and then we all sit back and watch the grass grow. So
Yeah.
that's it.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you.
So I'm
Wait,
hearing he
He's
heard
looking for an approval now?
Yes.
Yes, it's farther down
okay.
on the agenda, but yes.
Good evening. So we have back-to-back finishing the fiscal year 26, and then we're starting with FY 27. FY 26 that just ended on January 30th was an extremely challenging fiscal year. A lot of different reasons. I've shared in my previous quarterly updates that we saw a lot of pressure on our operating side of the budget, We are still seeing that pressure this year. So as we prepare for the fiscal 27 budgets that you're going to see the timeline and budget directives later on presented by myself and Superintendent Khaled, we need to incorporate increases into our roll forward number, which is, you get it presented to the school committee, and it's upcoming probably next month. It's the number that we internally use to move existing expenses into the fiscal year without increases, without staff increases, but with the normal adjustments, and they are mostly increases, to the operating side of the budget, which are due to inflationary pressures, due to just the general makeup of our budget. We've always focused as a service kind of operation. We always focus on payroll in our time, and it's going to continue to be our focus. Obviously, the people we hire, we have to compensate, and that's extremely important. But our operating side of the budget has been falling behind, and we are playing catch up year after year, which has to end at a certain point. Otherwise, we'll be in a deficit that we won't be able to cover with supplemental funding. What you don't see here, obviously, are the revolving accounts that we have. One of them being the athletic revolver, the other ones being the preschool revolver, which we have some funds as well. So we used outside funds that had healthy fund balances to cover a deficit this year. But that going forward is not sustainable. So that's what I'm presenting. I will be forwarding to the finance director of the town, Brian Turbit, our number to move existing expenses. So that's what we've worked on. So to focus on it, I just wanted to, you're going to see the numbers, but the FY 26, we had a budget of $40,178,395. 83% of that budget that ended up being expended at 100% was payroll, and 17% was operating expenses. The pressures this year came from different areas. Special education, the tuition expense. We don't really control those expenses. Those are rates set by the schools that we end up sending kids to for the out-of-district tuition, and they in fact increased by over $340,000. The decrease you're seeing is due to the fact that we did a transfer. If you remember, you approved us to use the SPED reserve account, in which we had $700,000. We used $450,000 of this account this year to offset the tuition expenses, and we ended up showing a $202,000 decrease, but it is in fact a $340,000 increase. Our circuit breaker, and special thanks to the special education director, Deb Gately, is finally catching up. This year the number is substantially higher than last year by $300,000. The future number we expect that will be reimbursed will be even higher. But it's taken time, and because of that, our budget has struggled to keep up, for a lack of a better word. We're hopeful that FY 27 is the start year of us being comfortable with the operating side of the budget, so we don't have to sacrifice in any kind of way for those expenses, because we have to cover them. Community school also ended up with a deficit this year, $83,000. They had a great revenue, on the revenue side, they had a great year, but the expense side on their end is growing, and for them, they're keeping up with obviously the pressures that we see on the island for compensation and salaries, to be able to hire, to be able to fairly compensate their employees. Their expenses grew by $73,000, and their revenues grew by a little over $4,000. We've had numerous meetings, and we've laid the foundation for a meeting between myself, Superintendent Khaled, the community school executive director, Alicia Graziadei, and Brian Turbit, who's the finance director of the town, to have a discussion about the town side of the equation. The $600,000 subsidy that we receive yearly hasn't been increased in 3 years. So I, as part of the roll forward, asked for the town, I will be sending an increased request for that subsidy to be able to offset the costs. The community school has done a great job price-wise, but you're reaching up a point where to keep the affordability of the programs that they offer, and which is their mission, is becoming challenging. So we're going to be having discussions and see what help we can get from town. They do obviously rely on outside organizations, and huge gratitude to all of them that we can continue to support them throughout the years. Remain Nantucket, Community Foundation for Nantucket, Nantucket Golf Club, but all these organizations have a several-year focus ahead, and sometimes the focus shifts. And it, as you know, affordable housing obviously is an extremely important, if not the most important issue we face on the island the past 10 years and into the future. So I don't know how much we can rely and budget reasonably to receive from these organizations, so that becomes also an unknown. And that's why I think we need conversation about where the community school is heading and how the town can help offset these costs and keep the programs affordable for everybody on the island. School lunch program, the deficit actually decreased this year by $20,000 compared to last year, to $71,000 compared to $91 last year. We had budgeted deficit of about $140,000, so this was well below. So kudos to Chartwell on the financial side of it. The performance was very good. There was a change of leadership, obviously, as everybody is aware. We have a new food service coordinator or director, Teresa Flores, and we met with the new people as our long-time district manager, Erin Long, is preparing for retirement. There is a transition plan in place from Chartwell, so we've met with the people that will be inheriting our account, if you can call it that, obviously. There is positivity and there is good intentions on both sides. We focus on the financial side as much as we can, but the priority always is the quality of the food, the nutritional value, and whether every child receives a lunch during school time that is eligible. As you know, this year, again, lunches and breakfasts are free for all students. So with that, that's the FY26. I can take any questions.
Vince?
No questions at the moment.
Chantal?
Why was the food program so much?
Deficit.
Yeah.
We always budget a subsidy to it because of the limited amount of federal and state reimbursements. Because right now it's universally free lunch, we get reimbursed, I believe, $4.60 per lunch and about $2.68 per breakfast. I might be off some cents in those amounts, but the costs have grown, the product costs have grown. When you require these companies, whether it's internal, whether it's an external food management company, to provide school lunches and be limited to that amount of money on Nantucket is challenging. So there is always a budgeted subsidy. We know that when we signed the contract, like I said, our portion could have been much higher because our contract was up to a certain amount. There is, as part of the contract, a management fee that Chartwell's gets, but the rest of it is strictly Chartwell's passing costs to us for product and payroll, because obviously all the employees that work in our food service program are employees of Chartwell's, and so they give us they pass the cost out. Thank you. So that said, I mean, again, we are 2 years away from rebidding the contract, and I've said it before, I like Chartwell's as far as the financial side of it. I'll be honest. But I would love to see some competition, hopefully, and see some changes. And we have the student representative. It would be interesting to hear what the student opinion is of the lunches. I mean, I have a son that's in 10th grade in the high school, and I have a daughter that's in 5th grade in NIS. So I hear from them their reviews of food, but I would be much more interested to hear a much more robust feedback as to what can be changed so we can pass it along. Now there is new leadership, so I think there is a chance for us, if we want any kind of changes on that end, to offer it and see how it affects, obviously, the financial side of it.
Right. Danielle, do you have any input?
Yeah, I had notes in my report, so this works out.
Okay.
I can briefly summarize. For the high school level, we are incredibly happy with how the lunch has been going. The breakfasts and the free lunches and the free breakfasts are just such a benefit to high schoolers who are constantly hungry, constantly. And your team and the food management and the food service employees just do so much for us. So the high school level, completely A plus. A plus for everything.
Thank you. That's great to hear. Thank you so much. I'll pass that along.
Yes. For the lower levels, I have a little less data on because I have a little brother in the NIS, and the CPS is always shaky with the information I can collect from them. But they also seem very pleased with it, honestly. I've heard no glaring complaints, which is good for children, because usually you get a lot of those, and you have to sort through the mix, but they seem fine as well, so I'm going to say that you're all good, and you're doing exactly what you should be doing.
Thank you.
That's great. Martin, I have a question. Thank you, Danielle. I do have a question about 56 Center. So does the community school pay rent?
Yes.
And what is, how,
I don't know the exact figure, but the rent amount increased this year, and it's supposed to double again next year.
oh my gosh.
So for years, it was a nominal amount of about $12,000, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe it has increased this year. As to the exact amount, I'll have to check with the executive director of the community school, Alicia Graziadei, and get back to you, and I can let you know.
Thank you.
But there is a planned increase as well. It is a great facility, and it helps.
And there's
but
not
that's
a,
the reality.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, there's not a usage fee, right? Like if they're using the studio, it's sort of they rent it and then it's
Yes,
theirs, and
yeah.
then they have to share with the music center as
Yes.
well.
To my
Okay.
understanding, yes, that is
If
correct.
I may to share, so they, Nantucket Community Music School has their parts of the building that they utilize, and then the Nantucket Community School uses other parts of the building. They currently share the cost for supplies. There will be some changes happening, I believe, in the next month around redistribution of some rooms so that the community school might be gaining a little bit of space. There's some office space that is being given back to the community music center. And so that's a bit challenging, but the community school is adjusting. But yes, their rent is doubling, and they will be, they've been asked to cover the full cost of supplies at this point. So if I may also, my biggest concern about the community school is that they provide such important programs to our community. Learn to swim, driver's ed, journeyman's classes, English as a second language. That's just scratching the surface. There's so many other opportunities, and in order to keep those prices at a meaningful rate without really jacking up prices, they have to look at their full budget. I worry that we will lose staff. I worry that the core group of coordinators is being stretched awfully thin based on the salaries that they have. And if they are considered town employees, which they are, it's really difficult for them to compare themselves to everyone else. They are not in a union, but I'm concerned about their plans.
If I may, community school absorbed the town-wide increase that was given to every municipal employee, the adjustment of $2,500 to their budget without seeing an increase in their appropriation. So still though, their employees are, the way they hire is not competitive compared to the town and the school.
Right.
They cannot compete with either one, and that's where the pressure on the community school that Superintendent Khaled is talking about comes, because in our opinion, a lot of them are long-term employees who are for lack of a better word, underpaid. So it's challenging.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, incredibly dedicated to the
yes,
community school.
no, they do an amazing job.
Long-term.
Some of them 20 years working for the community school.
Yeah.
So
Just one more question. I know that when Kelly Corbett was running the dance program, it was pretty robust, and I imagine, I don't know if it still is. I don't know if the dance program is even, I just haven't heard anything about it. I'm just kind of curious about that.
I'm not sure. I believe I don't want to
Still
speak out of order, so I'll have to refer again.
Yeah, and
to
I
refer
can
to
speak
the-
with Alicia, but
Yes.
do you know,
If I may,
Dr. Howard? Yeah.
it is still robust. I don't know if it is at the same level as it was with Kelly Corbett with the changes and transitions of instructors but they have tried very hard to maintain the same level as best possible. It is the program on the island, so there's certainly interest. So I believe that it is certainly, still thriving. Obviously, we want to hear that directly from Alicia, so I know that within the next 2 school committee meetings, I believe we have them scheduled to do an update. So you
Great.
should hear from them, not the next meeting, then the meeting after that.
Great, thank you, Martin. Any other?
course.
I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you.
I can move to the budget development calendar.
Yes,
We are already in obviously in FY27 kind of mode. I haven't sent initial budgets this year. I've been waiting and delaying this to the extent possible, so I sent a more realistic picture. The later we wait, the later we get into the hiring process and we fill in positions and we know the costs and we can use better numbers, obviously, when we communicate. We live, though, in a highly volatile environment as far as costs, whether it's tariffs, whether it's other pressures. It's difficult to forecast. Now, every company and every school district, when they're doing any kind of project, are trying to come up with what exactly the effect of those tariffs or the changes would be on any of those projects. You heard Chip present earlier about the complex and the price. Obviously, the updated price is higher than what we originally anticipated. Now, as far as the budget process, we are now in the month of September. By October 1st, we usually come up with the budget calendar and the directives. In the following months, which are October, November, and December, there will be internal discussions, student council meetings on a building level. There will be meetings between principals and directors, executive directors, and department heads with us, with myself, with Superintendent Khaled, and on our end we transmit those requests and messages to the town as we come up with a final appropriation for the school. We are in a year where we'll be entering negotiations with our largest portion of employees, which is the teachers, with NTA, and so all this needs to be factored in. And as far as the operating side, to come back to this is my obviously my focus this year to bridge the gap between where actual expenses fall, whether it's for the athletics department, facilities. Has been under budgeted and special education curriculum. We have numerous pressures right now that we need to address with this budget cycle, and so that would be it. And also, obviously, as part of this is the capital requests. That one of the biggest one by far is the athletic complex, but we also have other requests from technology, our annual appropriation for the building improvements, which cover repair and maintenance, and all the other smaller projects that we are going to present to the capital program committee when we meet on October 2nd. So after that, we will if those projects are recommended by the capital program committee, they get presented to the select board sometime in the month of December, January. It's usually done by the town, by the finance director, Brian Turbit, as part of the overall picture for the whole town. Our capital projects become part of all the town projects for every department. And we on our end will be presenting in January to the school committee on the 6th and the 20th this year. On the 6th, we usually start with athletics, facilities, community school, and technology. And then we move to the individual budgets of the schools, as well as special education and the English language learners department, which will be on the 20th. Now, I've put in a date on the 20th of January for town to come and present to the school committee. We haven't finalized that date. This is still either the 6th or the 20th. They will be coming here. My initial thought was to leave it for the 20th. I think that's what's been in the past. They've always asked for a little bit more time towards the end of the month. Then in February, we'll have a public hearing, the public budget hearing, which is delivered by Superintendent Khaled and myself. This gives a chance to the public to come and ask any kind of questions regarding our operating budget. And if this passes and it's finalized and it's voted upon by the school committee, then it moves to the finance committee of the town. Usually in February, the end of February, beginning of March, we'll have a presentation in front of the finance committee of the town. We don't present to the select board directly. That is, like I said, that's done by the finance director of the town, Brian Turbit, as part of the overall general fund budget, of which the school is part. And then this year, we have a scheduled town meeting for May 4th. I believe that's a Monday after work hours. And then if needed, it obviously can spill over into Tuesday, which is May 5th. So that's the budget calendar. I can take questions about it.
Any questions, Vince?
I'm always disappointed when Star Wars Day gets interrupted, but
May the 4th.
exactly.
Well,
But, no, this looks like a very useful approach. I'm always interested to see what the constraints on the budget might be, and good luck to you with that. That's all I
Yeah,
can say. But thank you for the presentation.
Chantal?
I have nothing but good luck.
thank you.
I'm in the same struggle with you, so I know how it is.
Thank you. Thanks. I forgot to mention we always look at the 3-year trend when we budget for FY27 expenses. So we'll look at averages, but we always put the most weight on the most current one, especially when we're dealing with a new administration and a new political environment, because that affects obviously where we operate. And so what I sent to every department is the last 3 years, but the focus always is on the last year, because we obviously have new contracts signed every year, updated, and those costs become the prevalent costs. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Danielle?
Thank you, and it's.
All right.
Just move up here, so. There we go, almost. Trying to get to the next page for there we go, close. There, okay. Okay, so, good evening. I am going to present to you the budget directives. It is a little disconcerting being here in the third week of school and yet talking about what our budget needs to look like for next year. The budget process does take a long time, so as Martin showed with the calendar, we don't expect to be really digging into budget discussions for until a little while from now, but we do need to be prepared, and when the town expects that to happen and us to be ready, we will be. In the meantime, I want to share with you our directives for all who are coming together to discuss and to plan budgets, either for their schools, their departments, the district in general. And so here are what they are. I'm going to read them one by one and certainly stop if there are any questions, or we can cover that as we go. So the first one is justification of the building and system-wide budgets for 26-27 must be aligned with the Nantucket Public Schools District Strategy 2023 to 2028, the Nantucket Public Schools District Improvement Plan, the action steps for each year, particularly for this coming year, and the NPS instructional vision. It must also take into account projected enrollments and curricular needs. We are always looking at how many students we have, what our curriculum demands, and what are the needs of our students. For 2026-27, all projected staff increases and newly recommended programs shall be offset by existing staff and programs unless the anticipated appropriation goes beyond what is needed to fund collective bargaining units. As you know, we are in a negotiation year with our teacher unit of the Nantucket Teachers Association, so that will have to come into play with our budget as we are moving forward in planning for 26-27. The 26-27 budget must continue to support programs that sustain the physical, social, and emotional development of our children. As Martin shared, special education and special services is very tricky. We do not know from year to year what our needs are going to be. Obviously, if we have students and their sustained attendance and enrollment is helpful for us to guess and to understand what the expenses will be. But often we are surprised by things such as a 14% increase in tuition, which is what we heard about, I think it was the year before last. But those kinds of things are really, we struggle with because we don't know necessarily what we're going to see. We are lucky to have our Executive Director of Special Services, Dr. Deb Gately, who has done a pretty marvelous job on planning the circuit breaker and understanding better about what we have available to us. But we have got to be prepared in case there are some contingency issues that we need to deal with around special education and special services. Funds from the 26-27 budget must also be allocated for professional development to support and improve equity and access for all of our students in our schools and create stronger inclusivity for our diverse student body. Professional development is an area of focus and has been for several years, and I believe that is contributing to some of our increases and gains that we've seen in growth on student achievement. So. Nantucket Public Schools will continue to tap revenue streams other than our operating budget, such as federal and state grant opportunities. We had a moment when we were a little nervous about what was happening with federal grants. Let us hope that nothing in that area changes for following years. But again, with our political climate, you never know what can happen. Certainly there are other funding streams, grant opportunities, states providing assistance, et cetera. But we will do everything we can to find additional funding and utilize that as part of our offsetting our budget. All district, school, and departmental budgets for 26-27 will reflect actual expenditures from the last 3 years, and line item transfers will be closely monitored. So we will be looking, as Martin said, the 3-year trend really gives us an idea of what to expect for the following year. Occasionally we're thrown for a loop, but it can give us some history. The historical can inform the future, so that's helpful to review. Proposed budget utility expenses for 26-27 must reflect actual expenditures. Actual data from reports on usage will allow for a better understanding of which users and programs are generating cost increases. Again, our utilities are important. We have to heat schools and have electricity and have internet and all sorts of other services that are necessary to keep our buildings running. So we've got to pay very careful attention to what those costs are and how to plan and prepare for them in the following year. We will continue to monitor food services and Nantucket Community School finances to reduce expenditures and raise revenues in order to ensure that the programs do not run in a deficit. We plan as best we can so that they don't run in a deficit, but we have to be prepared in case that there is that possibility, especially based on reimbursements that we get from our food services, particularly the state that allows for free breakfast and lunch, and also the Nantucket Community School and their appropriation for next year. We will continue to hold budget development discussions with town officials, the Finance Committee, and Select Board as needed. And finally, the district will be proactive in promoting support for its 26-27 budget through the media, public forums, and school committee meetings. So we will certainly be talking more about budget as we are going through the planning process, and we will certainly ask for your feedback and your participation in all of that. So happy to take any questions.
Vince?
Two, if that's allowed, please. Thank you. Two simple questions, hopefully. From the first bullet point, when you're looking ahead at enrollment into the future, how far ahead do you think we should look? I don't have a suggestion on this. Is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And the reason I'm asking is, are you looking at kind of near term or long term?
We always look about 5 years between now and then, and look at births on the island, look at what we've seen with regard to trends of students arriving, students coming. I mean, the fact that we do a monthly enrollment report is interesting. Most districts don't provide that at school committee meetings, and I think it's very interesting. For us, it's meaningful. 3 students versus 30 students makes a huge difference. In larger districts, that's nothing. So we have to be paying attention and knowing and preparing and planning. Our buildings are limited space-wise. We can't, we have to be paying attention to that in planning for long-term in our needs around enrollment. But on the other hand, it is helpful for us to have a feeling of where we're headed. But 5 years is I'd say the most logical time to look. If we go too far, we don't really get the full picture, and certainly things can happen. We did not expect an 80 student decrease in enrollment this year, and that's what's happened to us. So now we are figuring out how that has affected us with regard to staffing, with regard to support for students, and so that's definitely an example.
Perfect. No, 5 years makes total sense to me because of it's obvious, really. The births this year are the kindergartners in 5 years.
Exactly.
So that's fine. The second question,
Pretty logical.
no, just occurred to me while you were speaking, and it makes total sense. The second question, not even a question, the third bullet point about to sustain the physical, social, and emotional development of our children. An excellent statement. I was just curious if there could be potentially another bullet point after that, specifically focused on our English language learners.
We certainly could add another one and focusing on language development of our English language learners and their growth and development in our community. Absolutely. We could certainly add one. Yes.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Chantal?
How much support do we get from local grants?
We have the usual suspects, so to speak, with regard to those that are very generous to us. The golf club clearly is a great support to us. The Nantucket Education Trust and Community Foundation for Nantucket. We certainly, the grant scale of what's available tends to be more on the individual teacher or project-based award, because we're not, in some of the state grants, those are much larger awards. Those could be hundreds of thousands of dollars as opposed to $10,000, which might be more of a local grant opportunity. So it really depends on what we're focusing on, but we're lucky to have recently received some grants about literacy, for example. We were able to work with Melissa Devitt, who was able to secure PRISM grants for our literacy program, and that will cover a lot of our materials and professional development, so that's really important. So we've got to always be looking out there. Unfortunately, local grants, there's a lot of competition, and I understand that. So we will continue to be grateful for anything that we can get support-wise financially from them.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
If so you mentioned that the grants tend to be more geared towards like specific programs or teachers. Do teachers have to apply for those on their own? Do they get support from like Martin, for example?
To supply for grants.
Yeah.
So yes, I would say for Nantucket Education Trust and for there's a grant cycle with the golf club, I believe, where there can be grants that are offered, but most do go to Nantucket Education Trust, and we do have a grant program, and we accept applications. So if a teacher is trying to fund a class project, something like a 3D printer or maybe a trip somewhere, then that is definitely something that could be asked of Nantucket Education Trust or the golf club. So, and Community Foundation as well has a grant cycle as well for us, but certainly, and FOMS is another, we do get grant funding from FOMS. So, all of those, are, basically individual teachers applying for those things. Certainly, if anyone needs assistance, I am more than happy to sit down with the teacher and help them, to understand the process and to move forward with a grant application, so.
Thank you.
Sure.
Danielle?
Okay.
I have one question. During the collective bargaining that's going to be happening, the teachers that are not part of the union, do they reap those benefits of that contract negotiation?
Yes.
They do.
So there are teachers that are not part of the union, and the negotiations that occur are for the contract and the positions, not for the individuals. So in no way can an individual teacher who is not part of the union negotiate their own salary and their own contract. They are part of the position, and so that contract covers their position. So yes, they do reap the benefits.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So that brings us to committee discussions and votes to be taken. So we'll start with vote to approve the 2025-2026 Nantucket Elementary School Handbook with e-bike amendment. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you through the chair. I just wanted to make it clear, and this hopefully will resolve the other three votes coming after this. I reviewed the e-bike language in each of the school handbooks very carefully and spoke with the school principals and assistant principals. There is no need for an e-bike amendment. We were looking to see if there was anything around the motorized vehicle, dirt bike, or anything around parking areas. So all of that is included and we're okay. So just wanted to make that clear. You do not need to add the e-bike amendment.
Great. So motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to vote to approve the Nantucket Intermediate School Handbook with, so there's no amendment. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And no discussion? We're all set. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And vote to approve Cyrus Pierce Middle School Handbook. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the Nantucket High School Handbook. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a vote to approve the proposed athletic complex renovations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, sorry.
Any discussion?
I got caught up on the approve versus support.
Did I,
That's where I was
oh,
like,
right,
wait a
did I say that?
I kind of glitched
Vote
out
to-
for a
okay,
minute there.
Yeah, support to approve athletic.
Did I say propose to support?
You said vote to approve the proposed athletic complex.
Oh,
renovation.
gotcha, okay.
It doesn't matter. Ignore me.
But,
Motion made as written.
Yes.
thank you. Any discussion? All in
Second.
favor?
You
She did
seconded,
second, she did
yes.
second.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. All right. Vote to approve the donation of school supplies with an estimated value of $1,200 from St. Paul's School to Nantucket Elementary and Intermediate School.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the June 25th meeting minutes. May I have-
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the July 22nd meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve transfers and invoices. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now to our Student Council Representative, Danielle Lewis.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Danielle Lewis. I started my senior year of high school a couple weeks ago, and I'm the student representative for the school year 2025-2026. This will be brief. Past, present, future events, less than 3 bullets for each. And the present category is going to be like the last 2 weeks-ish. For past, the first day of school went really well in terms of like all levels. A lot of the notes I had on that day, that meeting, have been ironed out or made irrelevant, so we're good. The sports programs have gotten fully underway. All our teams are playing games, and our football team has remained undefeated at home. So there's that. And then the new high school schedule has started to be adapted to by students. Took a minute, but we're fine now. In terms of present events, the Yonder pouches, they fulfill their intended goal for the kids who weren't using their phones in class anyway. It's shaky, but there's a lot of different opinions on the Yonder pouches, and I haven't gotten like a full the student body thinks this yet, so I'm going to just stay hopeful they'll work out eventually. I love the, like, personally, I love the idea of Raptor, which is our new, like, app for emergency procedures, but as a student representative, I have to mention that the general student body seems a little iffy on if it will actually work, because we had our lockdown drill, and apparently some things went some things just went the way they, like, weren't supposed to, but it seems to have served its purpose, at least, like, my personal experience. My teacher had it, took attendance, it worked, so I don't know. On a different note, high school students had a very warm reaction to the repainting of the Hall of the Whale. We all noticed. We loved it. It was great. That's pretty much it for present. For future events, the Nantucket High School will be hosting the annual club fair on September 30th. The Nantucket High School the Nantucket High School band classes are really excited for their upcoming Disney trip over February break. And I'm sure the planned trip to the Galapagos, again, has garnered the same amount of attention. But I haven't had, like, any actual feedback, but it's just an assumption. Homecoming preparations have already started to be put underway. Everyone's excited, and students are a lot happier that it has been scheduled earlier than it has in years prior. Is there anything that you feel I've missed or that you would like me to elaborate on?
Vince?
Nope.
No, I'm just delighted to hear what
Yeah.
you were talking about earlier with school lunches and that there are no complaints. That is a very good and very positive thing to hear. And if there's any changes in that, I'm sure this committee would love to hear more about that. Or if you notice any other improvements or any other slips, that would be great for the committee to learn about firsthand and directly from the student body. I'm also encouraged that you're so hopeful about the under pouches and the new policy. That is also encouraging, and I hope that there's an increase in learning and that there's an increase in concentration, and that was the point and purpose behind it. And we could use a flag waver to take that back to students so that we had very good intentions with it.
Yes, I mean, if I can elaborate, I think the students all realized the intentions behind it were good, and if it was like something that has been put into practice maybe at like the CPS and then you moved it up to the high school, maybe like it would work, but trying to corral seniors and more so even the juniors to like just stop doing the thing they've been doing for the past 2 years, especially when they've like become upperclassmen now, is just, it's working. It's a work in progress, we'll call it that. Any other questions?
Yes, just about the Yonder pouches, because the only family member I have in the high school was probably one of the guilty parties constantly on their phone, so I get a lot of complaints. So I don't take their input very seriously anyway, 'cause I'm like, why are you on TikTok? Aren't you supposed to be in class? So I'm just curious, what are the concerns you're hearing shared by students about the pouch? If you have any specifics.
The concerns for students is mostly just like, oh dear, this is another thing I have to carry around in my backpack that
Okay.
I'm not as excited about as my school Chromebook, because like that, to a lot of people, the Yonder pouches are something they're like forced to do, rather the school Chromebook is like something that they need for school. And I think the other really concerning part about the Yonder pouches is that it's been presented as like a requirement that people have the tendency to not follow because the like risk to reward ratio of putting your phone in the under pouches and locking it and like doing everything you're supposed to do versus just having it in your bag, I guess, and having it there is it for a lot of students it just makes more sense to just close the pouch, not lock the pouch, put pouch in bag. As soon as homeroom's over, take phone out of pouch, go about their day in the same way they did before. So there's that, but like I said, for the people that are rule followers, it's a 50-50 split on like, is this something that benefits or is this something that exists? It doesn't hurt. So there's that.
If I could ask one more question.
Yes.
Have there been long lines to unlock them?
Ooh, yes, the unlocking. It's gotten better. I think first day of school, it was a little bit of like a weird transition, but we have teachers now that like come out at the end of the school day and they're like all in the hallways and like you can unlock them at multiple stations, which I think is good.
Excellent.
So
Delighted
that
to hear that.
that concern has been kind of petered out, yeah.
Delighted to have heard that. Thank you.
Yeah, is that
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah.
Those were my questions too. But would you say it's an overall optimistic start to the school year?
yes, overall?
Great, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything?
No, if I may through the chair, just a reminder to you, Danielle, you can share with your fellow students that Yonder Pouches are a tool to following the policy, because the policy is no phones in school.
Yes.
If students would like to leave their phones in their cars or at home, we encourage them to do so, and they don't have to use a Yonder Pouch. The issue is we expect everyone to be having their phones away and not taken out, and that is when consequences will happen if if it's visible and if people find out. So if people do want to leave them at home, they absolutely can do so, and if that's the plan, then there is an attestation form that they should be signing out, there's an actual form, so if people decide that that's what they're going to do is leave their phone in their car or at home, they should be signing that with the parent. So if that has not been presented, then I will be talking with the school administration about that.
May I ask one question, sort of adjacent to that? So seniors and juniors can leave for lunch?
Only seniors.
Only seniors. Can they take their phone then?
If it's in their car and in their pouch, yes, they can open and leave the building and then close again when they come back in.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Subcommittee work group report? Any subcommittees meet?
If
Not
I
at
may,
this
through the
stage?
chair, I am
Yes.
going to be looking for a policy meeting. We do need to keep going on our policy reviews.
That's still you.
No, that's not me anymore.
I keep
It's you
looking
both
at
looking
Chantal.
at me.
I know.
I know, I was just
Chantal?
remembering who it is. Is it you, Vince?
It's
Yeah,
Vince and
that's
Vince and me.
Yeah.
Vince and
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Designated survivor, okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we will be looking for a date sometime in the next few weeks.
Okay.
For that. I will also be sharing an invitation to bargain to the teacher unit of the NTA, and we will begin bargaining hopefully at the end of October, beginning of November. So we'll certainly fill you in
And
on
that's
anything.
you
That's us, yeah.
Yeah.
that's us.
Dr. Leprey's on the policy committee.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we'll be reaching out to him for a.
So it's not Vince?
That's why I said designated survivor. I was surprised.
We obviously haven't met in the new. All right. Agenda for the next meeting.
So for October 8th, we will be looking at student enrollment. There'll be a homeschooling report. We will provide a competency determination update because there have been some state requirements now that are in place that we want to make sure and share with you. And we'll be sharing the advanced placement results as well.
Great. All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. I liked breaking it down, past, present, future.
Yeah, I don't know. I was told to write the report. So
No, it's awesome. It's a great way to approach it.
So I will share. I have a form that's already come out.
Yeah, I tried to be as neutral as possible with the yonder pouches.
I'm so
Honestly,
sorry I
I
was late.
tried to.
No, don't be
as
silly.
little
No, no, no.
personal
We just didn't know
bias
what was
as I
happening
possibly
with
can.
Dr.
I'm
Leonard.
going to
I understand.
level.
we
I'm
still
going to
don't.
level with you right now.
It's a change.
They,
Probably
they're
after